Aloha Kohala. It is 3:01 2. And you're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is Intuitive Talk Story with EILA Allgood and
Michal Anna.
And we're just buzzing here. Michal
yeah.
had the best birthday ever the other day, and we'll just start on a little personal note there. It was meaningful to be part of it, and it was also meaningful to witness what I was witnessing with you and your family, like seeing you and I've seen you and your mom, but this was you and your mom and your mom's mom and your mom's sister. And the energy of that was really amazing. And the whole event was amazing in that it felt everybody was there for reasons and purpose. It wasn't just a party. It was a Michal party. And you've thrown a lot of parties and thrown a lot of events for a whole lot of people, other people's benefit. And this was you putting this together with a few people to celebrate your birthday. And it's a big birthday. And thank you for doing that and for taking care of you. And we got to be part of that, those of us who were there. And those of us who weren't, you can still say happy birthday to Michal anytime at 808-884-5657.
Call in. Call in. Get in the conversation. Love to hear from you on any level, of course. Oh, thank you so much, dear EILA. It was so meaningful to have you there.
Thank you.
And your sharing, and so many beautiful people spoke and said really wonderful things about me, which was, for me, I never asked for that kind of thing. She's right. I'm usually throwing things for others, and I'm really good at promoting other people and other organizations and just, causes. But rarely do I like it to be focused directly on me. I'm like indirect, but direct has been, hey. So I asked for that on this half-century birthday to really step into more of that receiving, more of that allowing, and less, just in general, more awe and that reception. It was so touching. I can't even describe the magnitude. All of you who were there and spoke, what you said and who you are, and gosh, thank you. It was beyond meaningful to my soul, and so empowering and so nurturing. And what I encourage, because that was so great and felt so good, this could be a practice everyone does on their birthdays. I always loved gratitude circles for others. I'm usually someone who implements that as well for birthdays. Let's do a circle and just say something. We all give thanks for the person whose birthday it is. We have tended to do that in Lava Roots for many years. But we make this beautiful, like, to honor people while they're alive. Yeah. We often tend to honor them when they die.
The memorial service. Don't save it for that.
Don't save it. Like, if you have an opportunity, this was a milestone birthday for me, 50, half century, to ask for, I'd love to hear now before I'm dead. Well, tell me something. And it was really, really meaningful. So I encourage everyone to share more with each other about how meaningful we are to one another and how rich our experiences are, because it really is so meaningful. In fact, it's so meaningful. Like my family, as you said, they were supposed to leave tomorrow. And yesterday I said, no, that's not right. It's not, they can't leave. You guys can't leave yet. It's been my birthday, hurrah, this whole time. And that's not actually like okay with me. Like, my grandma came all this way. This is never going to happen again.
Yeah.
Wait, we only have now. I mean, although it could happen again is actually what I'm kind of toying with.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the magnitude of this time period to really deepen and be with family, and the time for me that of giving to the people who've really given to me. These three women have given to me more than anybody. They've given me life. They've given me their hearts. They've given me their pocketbooks. They've given me everything they got.
Wisdom.
Their wisdom, their tools, their time, their money, their ear, their hugs, and endless support, endless encouragement. And so I feel like at this stage in the game, I get to also, I have the ability to help more, and I want to, and I'm so grateful just to have the opportunity to experience that and experience family and so many, 3 generations that my Grammy's still alive.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
She looks fabulous at
I know.
95.
She doesn't remember everything.
Well,
but that's okay.
Maybe she doesn't need to.
She doesn't. And that's kind of what I'm telling them, I know you guys are in the responsible zone, but for anyone out there dealing with dementia, I don't know from personal experience how deep that is, but I do know it's a big thing. And, it's very deep.
There's different layers of it.
There's different layers. But if you're someone that gets to be on the side more like me, you can be playful. And like last night, where'd you go? Where were you? I was at work doing massage and session work. The first time she asked, 10 minutes later, I was like, there was a bazaar down the road. And she's like, oh. And I said, yeah, they had a fun bazaar. It was pretty cool. A lot of people. She goes, why didn't you ask us? I said, I know. She goes, they've had a fish pond. They probably had a fish pond. We could have gone to the fish pond. I said, you're right. We could have. Remember that fish pond that we went to go all the time? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I always loved the fish ponds. We just got into a discussion about the fish ponds. I'm just having fun. She's not going to remember 10 minutes later. She'll probably ask me again.
Yeah.
So we just had instead a really lovely memory discussion about something we share, because she remembers a lot of the old things. She remembers lots of stuff, but not necessarily what you just did now.
Well, and I think each of our perspectives too, like you're her granddaughter.
Yeah, I'm not her daughter.
And the daughter, it may be hard. One daughter may be harder, another one maybe not. It depends on who's doing what and what their feeling is about the whole thing.
Well, and what your role is. There's a lot there to work out. I'm outside of that is what I'm saying.
Right.
If you're I am as the granddaughter, I am outside of that. So if you're outside of that and you're a grandkid, you get to be playful with your grandparents. We get to play with them and we get to reflect them and the play part. I really see myself in her, and I see the ability I have to bring her remembrance of herself.
Right, in a playful way.
Because
you want to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Because I like to have fun anyway. That's always been my gig. And she's where I got to have a lot of fun. She let me make carnivals in her house. I would make amusement parks and make signs. The fun park, it will open at 3:04 p.m. and because 4 minutes, And
you gotta love that.
My grandparents would buy tickets with pennies. Oh yeah, and I'd have rides. I had places you could go. There were different stations. Me and my best friend Sherry, we made stations. Like you'd get in the twister where we turn the sprinkler on, and they'd come get a reading. We had gypsy, like a crystal ball.
Yeah.
We did all these different little things. And they came. They played the game.
Yeah.
They gave us nickels and pennies. They had readings.
Yeah.
They rode the rides.
That's funny you bring that up, because it reminds me of, we used to do something like that with the 5 kids on the block where I grew up. We were right next to each other, and we did something like that with games. And actually, we got people from the neighborhood to come and play, and it's just a very creative way of playing. And also, we made money and sent it to muscular dystrophy. So.
Oh, look at you guys!
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was during the telethon, so everything was going up to the telethon.
I had a lemonade stand, but I think I was pocketing it.
Anyway, how do we tie that into what's going on in the world?
Well, you know what it is? I'll tell you how, because play is really important, and we are all taking ourselves too serious, and the Phantom Matrix, i.e. AI /computer /black box, is taking over people's minds and spirits and hearts, and they live in there a lot now. And instead of living in there, I say, let's live in RL. If you don't know what that is.
Real life?
Yeah. Someone actually said that to me before in my life. They've said that to me. You do so much in RL. So that's a real eye-opener for those of you who aren't familiar with that that's going on. So people are living in the Facebook or the face space, as some of the others say.
What is that thing called?
What do they call that?
Instaface.
Instaface. Get out that Instabook.
Well, I was thinking earlier, speaking of reality, is that that I wanted to talk about today was about our different realities and how they overlap. Like we're talking about something and there's an overlap right there and a recognition and a connection with that. And then there are so many places where we're totally different, and your reality is very different than my reality, and recognizing that sometimes I find really important, because then I'm less likely to have expectations of somebody or disappointment with somebody, because it's like, hey, wait a minute, they're in their reality. We have an overlap over here where we do this together or we believe these things together, but we don't. We're not carbon copies of one another. So I'm in this reality. Mine is different than hers and his and theirs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to love this conversation. So you know what I'm going to do for fun right now, for all of us together? We're going to open up a little sacred space, everybody together. We're just going to allow ourselves to come into, imagine yourself in an orb of light too, wherever you are. We're all in an orb of light, and you're just connected to the earth and connected to your heart and the God of your heart, source, however you experience that. And just take 3 deep breaths and just intentionalize to be fully present, released of anything you're doing otherwise for just a moment here, if you're listening while you're doing something besides driving. And just let it go for a few moments. Disconnect all cords, connectors, all those things. Shh. See, if you want to lift your hands up and stretch them up, that's an easy, quick way to just and let all that stuff go. Shh. And we just bring ourselves into this awakened field to go to another level of understanding, awareness of how we're perceiving our reality. Okay. So from this place, let's talk about this topic now. And let's think about how that we're vibrating all the time. So none of us are the same, for sure. Like EILA's a pinky, I'm a thumb, you're an elbow. It's the one body of God, if we use this metaphor. And each of us is one piece of God. So we are all part of the whole. But you're an elbow, I'm a pinky. We have some resonance. We're both on the hand. We both understand some hands beeswax. We both do some similar jobs, maybe, right, in that metaphor. But we are very different at the same time. Each of us is our own unique, quote unquote, hologram of the infinite. And what does that mean? It means that, like, the infinite itself it means when something reflects the essence of the whole. So when one piece of the whole reflects the entirety of the whole. So this gets into why are we becoming whole and picking up pieces of our trauma and healing our emotional wounding. It's so that your hologram becomes whole. That's what we're doing, actually. So then you can then reflect the entirety of the whole just in one piece of the whole. So the pinky can reflect the entirety of the whole being just inside the pinky, so to speak, metaphorically speaking. So in that case, we're vibrating on this earth journey, and we're looking for our pieces. We're playing this game of finding ourselves. So anyone who's vibrating into your reality is there for a reason. There's nobody there on accident. They're all there for a reason. You're actually vibrating them to you. There's resonance because it's a mirror. There's a resonance because it's reflecting something back to you. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's reflecting stuff I don't like about me, right? Those are clues to where I'm stuck. Where am I still not feeling good about myself? That girl really pisses me off, like that kind of thing, right? Where is that still at? Oh, she's annoying. Why is it annoying? Because I don't want to look at something. That's when I need to go to my inner child, take a breath, and find a peace. We talk about that a lot, picking up your pearls. The other side of that is that resonance, like, oh my gosh, we're so the same. Well, we also do, many of us travel in soul groups, so there's resonances of soul families, and there's resonance of, like, once maybe you've become into certain areas of your wholeness, you might resonate with others in those same resonance of wholeness. That, like, it's like liking soccer. It's just we both love soccer. So we're both at the soccer field. So we love soccer and we hang out, we do soccer. We don't have any other common interests besides soccer. But when we're on the soccer field, man, we're having a good time, and that's my best friend in soccer. But outside of soccer, like, our lives are really, really different. So it's like that. We share this moment or this one thing that we're experiencing that we both resonate with, and we're vibrating in it. And we're calling it in as we then call in each other. And those, sometimes we're just there for maybe just soccer. And maybe Joe Blow over there is not really part of your reality, but he's in your reality on the side. And he's kind of annoying or whatever. he's still part of the movie of your like, why is that annoying you? The second we get through something, it usually changes, and maybe Joe Blow moves. You know, he ends up going to the other side of town because you became softer, or you forgave, or you made a different choice in yourself. So everything is really presenting us with the opportunity to look at ourselves and what's going on for me. And if I can fully take full responsibility for my emotions, my feelings, and then therefore how I show up and my actions in the world, well, gosh, that's huge.
Yes. And as you're talking about that, I'm feeling into that, you know, who I interact with and how different they are from me, and the mirroring. And there's also something in there there's something I see in you that I don't experience in myself, and I'd like to. So by being around you, I have a certain awareness that maybe I wouldn't have if I held up in my house by myself all the time. And this is why it is important, whether you're an extrovert and you like tons of people, or you're an introvert and you just, you know, one at a time is enough. It doesn't matter. It's through those relationships that we come to see things, especially if we're aware. It's like, why do I keep hanging out with this person and they grate on my nerves? Well, what is that about them that you need to heal in yourself? Or what is it about them that you like? What is it that they're bringing up for you that might be positive? You know, it's not all one thing or the other. So I think it's really great to look at those qualities in our relationships.
Absolutely. Because when I'm actually like with us, for instance,
Yeah.
I'm totally different than you, of course, but I draw out parts of yourself. It's you that you're experiencing more of. You're experiencing yourself, but I'm reflecting parts of yourself you just didn't see all the time. And like, it's like when you get together with that certain friend that makes you crack up. You're like, we always laugh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so
Yeah.
funny and silly with certain people. They think I'm a riot. Like, not everybody thinks I'm that funny, but certain people,
It's a certain dynamic.
It's a dynamic. There's a
create.
resonance,
Yeah.
which brings out the funniest parts of me, and
Yeah.
so we just have this. I'm there, but that's me. It's still me. It just, I get to experience me really cool with that
Right.
person, or really cool with this person.
Right.
I experience different parts of me with different people because we're all super big. Back to that, we're multifaceted.
Yes.
You're multidimensional, so you're not just one thing. So
Right.
it's not like, oh, me and her are exactly the same. Well, don't put yourself in any box ever, because there's no box to sit in. We're really very large beings, and we're making choices, and we all just chose to come into this avatar, this particular incarnation, and have this particular experience. I took the job and said, okay, I'll take that avatar. Great. I'll sign you're like, oh yeah, I'll be in the movie. Sounds good. I like this one. It's a good, interesting script. I don't know. Interesting. There's some
I don't know what
twists.
the ending is.
Not sure about the end yet, but
we can
it
wait
feels
on
fun.
that.
Feels
I
fun.
hope it's a long story.
It is a really long story.
And I've certainly been clear about, I'm not a drama person. I'm not one to, like, I see how some people really thrive off the drama. Like, you see them, I don't know if you have this, you probably do, have this experience where I'll see somebody I haven't seen, and they're like, oh my God, this happened and that happened. And you hear the top 10 things, all very dramatic, that happen in their life. And they're like, oh, and how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Like, you know, I could report the news, but I don't have any dramas going on in my life. And even when I have things that seem dramatic, I definitely don't play into that. Maybe it's a perspective too. It's just like,
I was gonna say, when you're speaking, I can see it totally different ways. If a drama to me implies like trauma, like something wrong. But there can also be just a lot of high-low experiences, or a lot of high adrenaline kind of experiences that get experienced. I myself have I've always had a pretty wow, it's a magical mystery ride.
Yeah.
My movie is pretty intense. It's been intense and sometimes very dramatic for sure, and traumatic, definitely. There's been a lot of that, but there's also been a lot of joy and a lot of really expansive and huge moments. Not everyone rides the highs and lows like that.
that's true.
And it's kind of that's also, about what your journey is.
Yeah.
So my friend and our friend and I, talk a lot about. She's like harmony, and I'm more like, my thing's freedom. So, you're not, kind of maybe ride the energies differently.
It's going to be a different
It's
ride.
going to be a different ride.
Right, and I don't even mean that I haven't experienced traumas and dramas. I just experience them differently than somebody else, where they're like,
Well, yeah.
like talking it up in a different way, and maybe feeding something that I know I don't want to feed. Like people have said, let me just finish this thought. People have said to me years ago when I was going through a really challenging breakup, they're like, oh, they're telling me all the worst parts. Oh, this is going to happen. Oh, he's going to do that. He's going to do that. And I'm like, maybe you're right, but I'm living my life right now with joy, and I'm not going to focus on that. So please don't bring that over here. Like looking at worst case scenarios. No, that's not how I want to do it.
So, then for me, I just pull these pieces out. One of them is traumas and dramas. One of them is people's projections. That's projecting.
Yeah.
And then one is what you're hearing is you're listening actually to someone's wound. If someone's wound is leading the conversation or the experience, and that's maybe I think what you're referring to, is that you're seeing like, oh, someone might be in a victim mode or in a martyr mode. And then if that's the lead on the story, then it's coming from a programmed place, which we've talked about before. So if you go back to remembering that the game we're playing is one of a soul game of emotional wounding, leads the game. Honestly, it's if you can get in touch with the emotional wounding, that's the game you're really playing. So everything we're talking about here, we can talk about the like external, but what's really happening is what you're listening to and feeling and trying to, I think, articulate is that you're hearing the trauma that's coming from wounding, which you no longer possess in yourself. So you can recognize it in someone else. And sometimes you might see when they go, ooh, I don't want to do that one. It may have been familiar. Maybe you've passed through it and you're like, ooh, that's a good reminder. Don't want to enact that anymore. For me, I do that a lot. I've let a lot of people's, what you quote unquote, the traumas that I work with lots of stories. I also let that reflection teach me like, ooh, that is a good one to be aware of. I will be mindful to stay away from that. Okay, thank you for that note. I try to take it in and use it I try to learn from every reflection, something, whatever I'm supposed to learn, because I'm aware they're here for a reason, or I'm here for a reason. There's something I'm either giving or receiving in this scenario. There's an exchange. Sometimes that exchange is just being present, right? Just walking into a place and walking out, I've actually done something. There's that too, understanding that your resonance has such great meaning. Just showing up means a lot.
It does mean a lot. It does mean a lot, especially if you do it because you want to, not that you feel you have to.
Oh, well, even better. For sure. For sure.
Well, because I think a lot of us have been, taught to, well, this is the nice thing to do. This is the right thing to do. So we may make choices based on what we think is the nice thing to do or the kind thing for somebody else, rather than what's really in our heart. So yeah.
Well, I think that really gets in, again, I'm like taking notes, because there's duty, obligation. I think the generation, but I'm here with my family, right? So
yes.
I'm right in it. So duty and obligation are big for that generation. My parents and more, it's a lot more of that was been instilled in the rearing and in societal frameworks. And so when we can, and that's stuff that we carry. So that goes back to healing our ancestral wounding and getting to look at what we're carrying, because it's not just your own. And I'm seeing that really clearly. I'm with 3 generations right now. And there's things that run through the line. And if you can, it's like, I'm like going, you look, it's right in your face. It's right there, literally staring at you. There it is for the family. So if we are brave enough to take a look at what's really going on, we tend to pick apart what's in front of us, is what we tend to do. We tend to think what's going on right now. Well, she was, baking on the thing. She cut the thing, or she moved the thing over there. Whatever's happening right now in a situation is not what's really happening. If you could get that you're in a movie and you're just creating experiences for you to get the lesson that it's offering. The story going on doesn't exactly matter. The devil's in the details. Don't get stuck there. Go wide. okay, what's really happening here and what's this offering me? I'm feeling all this angst because I'm feeling dutiful and feeling like pressure. Okay, let me unplug from that duty. What if I just like, you know what? I want to be a nice person. I mean, that's actually what I want to be, right? I want to be a nice person. I want to take care of my mom, or that's what I want. So let me let go of that. And you get to feel yourself, because underneath the program is your God self, which is, which is
all kind and loving.
Everything,
and,
all the things that you are for
Right.
real. Anything that's telling you something negative or hitting you on the head is not you. It's a program, an energy. You're plugging in, or you're running an ancestral thing. So it's your job, if you want to be whole. It's a choice. Not, it's up to you. It's all up to each of us. If we want to be whole, we have to dig in and look for the stuff and be brave and go, okay, what is this? And sometimes it's not fun. You're like, oh God, I don't like that I do that. Jeez, I'm still doing that. I have so many of those. I mean,
they come up on a regular basis. Yes.
And you give thanks.
Yes. And I think that's happens for a lot of people who don't maybe live right with their family, but then they get together with their family, that certain dynamics pop up with that. And as you were talking about, the different generations, I was definitely a supposed to girl. I wanted to please. I wanted to do the right thing. I lived in a conservative Republican household, and there were rules, and you followed the rules and all that kind of stuff, right? And then I think I did like the polar opposite with my kids. Like, I never want them to call me out of obligation. I never want anything out of obligation. You know what? Go do your life. I love to see you more when you want to see me more. Like, otherwise I really don't want you to call me because you think you have to or anything. And I'm sure there's parts of that as they move on, they'll have to unplug some things too, because why else are they here other than to keep doing, keep clearing.
Well, and we each put in from our parents. I mean, there's no other way around it. Like if you have kids, you're going to input what you were inputted with,
whether they're yours biologically or not.
Right. If you're raising and spending time and patterning and imprinting with anybody, you're gonna be getting imprinted, and we're gonna imprint what we've been given or not given. So we're gonna do that, and that's a really important thing. I was talking with a client this week. Don't get mad at yourself for things you didn't know. Like if you were raised in a traumatic household and were never shown, like no one ever told you to do chores or gave you a schedule or did something in that manner, sure, you didn't know how to do that for your child. Nobody did it for you.
Right.
So you can't blame yourself now. You just give thanks and implement the kind of structures, learn new things, learn new stuff. So just in general, whatever it is, forgive ourselves and learn new things. You're a dynamic, amazing, divine creator. You are capable of far many things. Learn something new. The more we use our brains, the more we tell ourselves that we are capable and amazing, the more you become capable and amazing. And then, start believing it.
Well, and we become the parents to ourselves that our parents couldn't be. We say the things to us that we wish they would have said. Only we say it now.
Yeah.
It's like, my parents never told me they loved me when I was growing up. And then when I was 18.
Oh, I want to hug little EILA.
I was little Eileen then.
Oh, Eileen. Oh, she needs a hug.
And when my dad was with somebody else and moving out, I was 18. All of a sudden, Mom's telling me she loves me. Dad's telling me he loves me. And I didn't really like that then.
Right, because now it's associated with some sort of separation.
Now it's like, you need me?
Now?
You
What's
need
that
me.
about
You're
now?
telling me you love me because you need me. How about telling little 5-year-old that you loved her? So anyway, that's one of those things that now I do for myself. I look in the mirror every day.
And that brings up that, all of us are fallible because we're human.
Yeah.
And see, that's how we love animals so much, because they're so unconditional and they're like so straight. They don't make those kind of mistakes. But actually all of us humans have. We're all have messed up and we've not been completely unconditional in all forms and all ways. So inevitably, that's what I'm saying, our parents all screwed us up on some form. And then if you had kids, then you somehow screwed up yours. That's how it goes. And we get to unwind the patterns. And instead of hitting ourselves on the head and going, ooh, we don't want to look at that because that would mean I did something wrong, we can go, we all did something wrong. Let's see what we did and let's unwind it. Back up to the spiral up centers.
Yes.
We get transparent. We start talking about what's really going on. We're like, yeah, what's your trauma? Oh, this is mine. Oh, great. We're all spiraling up. Like once you put the pink elephant, you call it out, it no longer has the weight. And trauma has a weight in our society in a way that keeps people stuck in the patterns because they don't feel like they can admit to certain things in their beingness because, well, it seems out there. But the truth is everyone's out there. Everyone's a little quirky. Everyone's a little weird. Everyone's dealing with deep stuff. And in their own way.
As you're talking, I'm having this feeling, we don't talk much about like time-space continuums. And as I'm doing my work and healing ancestral trauma and stuff, what's to say that it's not helping the descendants? And not just my descendants, but the descendants. As we do our work and we go through this, that we're helping it across timelines and across dimensions and across. It's not just today and now for me and Michal. It's like in the future too. Oh, I got goosebumps with that.
Well, that's what we say. If you look on the prayer I gave you, that's what it says. It says across all timelines, forward and backward, we're changing all things because that's exactly the power you have. So that's why I always say you have the keys within you to the DNA, forward and backward, because you have the power to make that choice. We are completely capable of all this backward and forward motion. So you're doing it and actually I was just telling my aunt yesterday, a lot of the session work I feel like I have is really in future timeline work. I see so many future timelines. We're changing future timelines by planting seeds in this timeline. Yeah. Right now, it's back to the long game. It's a long game. So right now, you're planting seeds inside of a very long game. And these seeds moves 2-3 lives ahead, 5 lives, 10 lives right now. So that's why you have to be unattached and amused. Back to that. Stay unattached and amused. Know you're playing the long game. Have a little more fun, a little more playfulness. It's hard. I understand. I mean, trauma is trauma. I definitely dove deep in the trauma fields. I was in the trenches most of the first half of my life in some form or another, either picking up my own pieces or learning about the trauma and understanding so I can, be of more service. And so I feel very resonant to the fact of how molasses it feels at the bottom of the well. It's pretty intense to feel the density when you feel stuck. So to anybody feeling stuck out there, I say, just remember you're not alone. Everyone has faced some sort of demon. We're all facing our own personal demon of whatever sort, quote unquote. And it's up to each of us to find that place and remember life, really. Remember life, God, source, Christ force, joy, whatever resonates to your soul. The cosmic mother, cosmic father. Cosmic mother, cosmic father, for me, just quickly on that, was back to that our parents are fallible. In surrendering to the higher parents, we allow ourselves to realize our true parents our parents in this lifetime who are incarnate with us are just fellow souls that we know and love. They're our soul family. We love them. We're part of them. We're reflections of them. We are them. And at the same time, they didn't have the authority that as a child we may have placed in them. They're just in the game with us. They're also experiencing the book and, or the however you want to put it, the movie. And so we get to take that weight off of them and go more like, hey, bro, hey, sis, and know that we have cosmic mother and father to go to. And that's where we go instead of to one another.
Right. I was thinking recently of the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, and one of the things I love about that movie, that kind of many things, but what comes to me right now is there was a scene, there was a part where he dies, he crosses over, and he's in the world of spirit, and it's also beautiful, and he interacts with two different beings, and he doesn't recognize them physically, but it's his daughter and his son. But these are grown-ups, and they're different color, even ethnicities, and it's really about their soul essence, not about who they were to him when he was alive. And I could see that as being such a helpful part of our process of evolution. It's like when I cross over to the other side someday, is my mom going to look like my mom did when I last saw her? Or is she going to be whoever she is? She's so many more things than she was other than my mom. So it just kind of, it's part of that expanding your mind to other concepts.
Yeah, and you can think of this like the skin you're in, like back to like your avatar, and that you come in. A fun system that I've been learning more about, I think I've mentioned before, but human design is fun because it helps you stretch your mind to understand this more and understand patterns, because it's based on astrology and the I Ching, which are, the I Ching is a Chinese very old system, and both are mappings of what I like to call your avatar, which is when you came in. Whenever you were born, you like pushed a button. I'm going to have that one. I'll take that costume. And that's when you came in, was whatever
Right.
your time. That's why you're like, what time were you born? What day? It's like what costume you picked in the like lineup of the like, you're going to be a red Corvette, a yellow Camaro. Which one do you want to be? You're like that. So this is my avatar. So like, oh, let me hit the button. Oh, I have a lot of stuff I could do. Okay, well, this is going to be fun. This is the role I'm in for this lifetime. It's
Right.
like back to the script. I'm like, I'm going to play in this movie. I'm this movie role. We're in the costume for the role, for the movie, for this life. But there's so many lives. See, that's where people, we go small as we think, oh, there's only one life. But you're in a lot of different incarnations and lives. And honestly, we've been looping. So it's crazy. You've been actually going around many times. So you've already had future lives. You've already had past lives. There's all that, because then there's just, well, no time, because everything's happening now. So it's like, it's really interesting when, it depends from which angle you really conceptually look at it. But the cool thing is that you have access to all of it, which is awesome.
I think when I talk about timelines and think about future, and that what I'm doing now actually has an impact on the future as well as it has an impact on the past. I'm a map person. I love to look at a map to see, oh, I want to go to Kona. Let's see all the roads that would take me to Kona. That's how I like to look at things. So I try to look at past, present, future in that way. It's like, well, if you look at it that way, and that map just keeps going and going and going and going, and then there's all these multi-dimensions to the map too. It's, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
And what you just described, which I love, and this is what's cool about unity and the infinite is, well, it's infinite. So that's totally all yes. And then I could tell you a whole nother system that's the same, another yes, because there's just different angles of viewpoint.
Yeah.
See, there's not one thing.
Well, and I'm talking about something that's almost two-dimensional, and I can make it three-dimensional by giving it some depth. But what about all those other layers?
Or another way to think of it is like this. Imagine like this reality that I'm in right this second is happening in all of this 15-dimensional reality and all the places and spaces that I exist in this 15-dimensional reality, which would technically, if we were going to say in the beginning, would have been 12 places, like the 12 dimensions. I would have one of me in each of those places. Okay, so in those realities, because you're grabbing those pieces and you're zeroing them out. You're taking that and you're bringing them to the version of you that can come into wholeness out of all those 12. Which one has the setup to come into wholeness? Might be it. This is like a way to think of it. Okay. So
yeah, I like that.
And so at the same time, I'm actually, let's say I'm on, we can just imagine, let's say I'm on like some starry moon on some other reality, but I might be sitting right now talking to somebody over there. It might even be you. in it, but you're a different version. We might be wearing something else. We're talking.
We may have horns coming out.
We
of
might
our
have
head.
horns, and we might be talking about the moon and the star. Maybe we're scientists. Maybe we're both like newscasters. I don't know. We're having some similar parallel reality that feels. And as we make choices right now, if I chose to slap you in the face, then it would slap you there and create some drama over there, just like would create drama here. If I choose to go, yay, I choose love, then over there, love is also getting chosen. So as you make choices across all your realities, you're making a choice that energetically creates the next level of the story in any reality that you're having simultaneously, because they're all happening at once on some level. So as you're picking it all up, I'm zeroing it out. Well, I'm zeroing out all of them because they're all me. And so if that one's gone now, I hold it out. That one's hold out. That one's hold out. They're all happening once at one time. Plus, all the versions of yourself in this lifetime are happening at one time, which is why inner child work is now. So the little 5-year-old in you is still 5 in you. So that's why we're going, oh, let's put your hands on your body and talk to your 5-year-old, because your 5-year-old's still 5. That's why you're triggering, because she's still 5 and she's still here. You haven't zeroed her out. So she's still having the experience. So she's still going, oh no, that feels scary. That guy just yelled. That means something bad's going to happen and I'm going to freak out. And you're like, no, that's from the past. We're good now. Let me explain to you what happened. And it's that guy's not actually your dad. And, he was ruled by something else. Poor thing. Zero that bugger out and then boom, your little 5-year-old's not sitting there having that experience
And then
anymore.
you're not getting triggered.
Now you're not getting triggered.
Yeah.
So you're zeroing out all those things. So that's another map to look at for y'all's to see this wider picture.
If anybody's out there and they understand what's been talked about today,
Call in now.
Call in now. 808-884-5657. We're going to take a station break while we can all just soak that in for a minute. That was really an out there concept.
Beautiful.
The Kohala Night Market returns on Wednesday, September 4th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Resilience Hub Barn. The community is invited to shop locally produced food and crafts. Also, food trucks will be cooking up some local grinds. And this month, there's a special showcase for Kohala's young entrepreneurs. You can come and support over 15 local young entrepreneurs, as some of the keiki are fundraising for rodeo events, traveling, taiko performance, and school programs. Among the goodies that the keiki will be selling are yummy baked goods, toys, jewelry, snack packs, calo cards, candy, and much more. And there will be Kanakapila entertainment by a young musician from Kohala High School. That's the Kohala Night Market on Wednesday, September 4th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Resilience Hub Barn. See you there.
Aloha. This is EILA Allgood of Women's Voices. Please join me on Wednesdays between 4 and 6 p.m. on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. We never quite know what we're going to be hearing because most of my choices are intuitive, unless they come from you, my listening audience, when you call in and make a request. I look forward to playing tunes for you.
The Kohala Night Market is looking for new vendors. The market, which takes place on the first Wednesday of the month at the Kohala Resilience Hub, is looking for more vendors to participate in the night market. You can sell your crafts and artworks, share the bounty of your garden, or share information about local events, services, and projects to help serve the needs of Kohala. The market is also looking for keiki entrepreneurs who would like to be vendors. For more information, contact krh1 at northkohala.org. That's krh1 at northkohala.org. Mahalo.
Aloha. Welcome back to Intuitive Talk Story with EILA Allgood and
Michal Anna.
we are happy to be here with you today. It is 3:45 already. Oh my gosh. Well, if you want to call 808-884-5657, but we were in other timelines across dimensions
Yes.
using the map.
If anyone has questions or thoughts or things you'd like to share on that, but and the break there was just sharing with EILA kind of the magnitude of being in with my 3 generations and the opportunities that are really alive for timeline shifting when you are with your generations. I myself am experiencing a magnitude of things that I get to do now with my grandmother that I couldn't have done until now because I didn't have the pieces to do it. But now I do, and it's kind of exciting on an ancestral level, and the ability to move things that have been hidden, and on a dimensional framework, and to do some deeper, what I guess you call spiritual surgery. So, which is kind of my daily gig, and it's pretty darn fun because writing the dimensions and understanding, pushing our mind and expanding and widening. Boy, these are the things that make me so excited.
Yeah.
I also know that this is a big concept. So what comes to mind for you, EILA, when I was talking, when you're like, what do you think, sir?
So as I was listening to you, my mind was just like my vision was just kept going out and up and over and across and back. So there's so many layers to it, and there's so much multidimensional concept to it. One thing that came up while you were talking, as you were saying, Michal, in another time frame, we might be doing this in another body in another place. And I thought, well, what about the concept of some people say that you need, the dark and the light in order to balance. So is there like dark EILA out there? Is there dark Michal out there that does like not so nice things? Or can we evolve and release that we don't need to have that kind of a balance that I used to think we had to have that kind of thing. What do you feel about that?
Well, I'll tell you what I've seen dimensionally and know from my experience of myself, is that we all have to face dark EILA, dark Michal.
Yeah.
I have to face the dark Michal, and I have been dark Michal, and I've seen versions of that. It's not maybe there's been resonances through this lifetime where I've been dark Michal, like, I've done bad things, or I've said the wrong things, or I've been a certain way, which goes back to that ricochet, because somewhere in another life, I was still experiencing a traumatic, painful, I now understand, I've shared a little bit that I had a remembrance of a very deep sacrifice story here in Hawaii, and it's been literally, I can now see the ricochet of that through this entire life. Like I can see it. It's been playing out the whole lifetime because it's happening simultaneously in another dimensional framework. So there's inserts where things are happening that are bad, but then it's good. You know what I mean? Like these interesting things. So what I'm saying is I was in wound. I was in pain myself. I was still feeling traumatized around things because back to our emotional game runs the show. If you think about the earth game in general is like, okay, you're going to go to earth, you're going to forget everything, and you're going to have to remember that you're love. That's kind of really what it is to face your demon, to know yourself. The real game is face your Lucifer and then understand that you are the light. So you're learning about everything, and you have to face the darkest parts of yourself in order to own your own light. Because if I can knock you, if you're like, oh, I can't hear about that. Nope, I can't hear it. No, then that means I can get you. That means you have a hole. That means you're afraid. What are you afraid?
Right.
Oh, I can get you then. You're afraid. You're afraid of the little thing. See, so you're healing. You have to be able to hit all the places where you have fear. You're basically releasing all fear. And when we release all our fear, well, all of our so-called evil Michal or disempowered Michal goes away, because all evil is live backwards, and all sin is to be without. It's just to be in separation. So it's not that it's actually evil. It just means you're without. You are without the light. You are not understanding that you're the light. You're in some form of separation. Some beings have chosen to continue to separate in the timelines and are choosing to separate further. there's nothing that becomes compost eventually. They're either going up or down. You're devolving or evolving. So if you're choosing separation, eventually you're so separate you can't ever come. You kind of only way back to God is it's like compost. Oh, the mango's just way overripe. Cannot. So compost.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, if you're choosing to evolve, you're choosing to do what we're talking about, which is get honest, look at yourself. You're not lying to yourself. Then you're willing to go through each door and die again to what you thought you were and embody more love, more joy, more compassion. Be truthful and with your own being and be willing to trust and have faith in the next piece of the journey, knowing this thing is not what you think. It's not, this is my life. No, it's a game a movie.
Not take it so serious.
Not take it so serious. It's
Yeah.
experiences that your soul, your eternal soul is having. So you're just here to learn. So I do not think that you are here to embody the two. You're here to understand and kind of conquer and rise above your density by healing. All of our evil or without comes from emotional trauma. Once you heal your emotional trauma, you are the light. You no longer need that evil EILA because we've zeroed. That's actually all the zeroed out pieces we're talking about. Those are the trauma. There's more like traumatized EILA.
Well, I also think there's different, as I'm listening to you and thinking about it, there's different levels to it too. Like when I say dark EILA, that might be I'm not considerate of somebody in a moment, today. Maybe when I was 5, it would have been where I take a toy away from someone and I push the kid against the wall.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's different levels to all this. And something I learned a long time ago was the whole concept of good and bad, right and wrong, just didn't resonate for me.
Yeah.
Because if I do something and it's hurtful to you, and if I knew I did it or I didn't know I did it, it's so much more complex than that simplicity of, and I guess that's the whole duality. It's either this or this. No, I like the word density better than dark or evil or
Separation.
there's just separation. There's just different levels that we're all at, and personally, I want to keep moving forward and moving up that spiral.
Then you brought up a good point, which is I want to talk about a bunch, and I'm really loving this platform of unity, which is so important because this is like nonstop every day. You have to check, am I coming from a platform of unity or separation? The second you move into a dualistic framework to springboard from in your thought patterning, you've already lost.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, you just said they're good and bad. If I'm thinking in framework of good and bad, I'm already lost. I've already lost the game because I've put a dualistic framework upon what I'm looking at. And it's not dualistic because I don't live in a dualistic world. I live in a unified platform. And a unified platform knows that everything is inherently part of me and I'm inherently it. It means that the absolute is within all things, and I already know that and am springing from that place in every thought that I'm experiencing. So that's what we're wanting. We're wanting, and we're thinking and feeling from that place. Like, is it good for the whole? Means like, that grass is me, you are me. Well, that we move away from, well, not my problem or not, but not necessarily, I'm not saying everything. It's all about listening, right? We can't all solve everything. We're not all called to everything. Back to vibrating.
Well, and listening to your
own inner guidance, to your own inner guidance. We are all different. Back to we've said a lot of things today. We're all different. We're all on our own journey. None of us are experiencing it the same. We all get to listen to our game, embody and release the emotional wounding that we have been dealing with, small trauma to large trauma to like whatever thing it is, whatever your game is, whatever your story. You want to come into wholeness if you want, but if the opportunity is to come into wholeness where then you get to own the game, be your own hologram, and then we get to manifest and change the game at a greater capacity, and then you get to manifest and create more beauty, joy, expansion by doing that. And that's kind of what the goal is for us all to sit together as a small groups to larger groups to expand out in this permaculture where we're experiencing abundance. You shall know a tree by the fruit it bears.
So bringing it back, because we're near the end now, and you talked about heart, is I wrote that down at the beginning because one of the things I observed at your party was there were a number of people who got up and spoke to say things to you about your impact on them or something about you, and it was your birthday. We're celebrating Michal. And what I observed as someone who's watched a lot of people speak and been very aware of nuances in that, is that each person that got up there really was, first of all, I don't know that any of them were comfortable, super comfortable getting up and talking in front of a group of people in a microphone, but they transcended that, and they really were in their heart. They wanted to give. And so the person would get up there and would start to talk, and I could just feel it was all from their heart. And it was so beautiful and meaningful, and it was a reminder, you don't have to have anything figured out in your life. You keep going back to your heart and move from that place in your heart, and it's all magical. And when we try to figure it out, oh, what am I going to say? Let's see, what should I say when I get up there? Blah, 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 blah. You know, trying to sort that out. It's not nearly as deep and meaningful as that person who just starts speaking and allowing that truth to come through them. So for all of us to be more aware of that place of being coming from our heart and what is in our heart.
And that is what I am talking about, living from that place. And many of those people who spoke, I've helped to live from their heart or taught them dance from the heart. And we've shared heart spaces in many, many hours of heart space. And so that is what we're talking about. We're talking about living everything from our heart, from everything we do. I literally know that that's where I live, and I've had a lot of traumas because of that myself, because I've gotten my feelings hurt a lot through life because I was just coming from my heart, and I didn't really understand that not everybody was. I thought we all were. I thought that's what everybody did. And so for me, it's been huge learning and growth and understanding that, but that's where we get to play. And that's where I want to bring more people into the play, is let's play together in our heart, because that's where, to me, the magic is and the real joy. So to more joy, more love, and activation for all of us as we all expand on the crystal spiral. Thank you for being here, EILA. I so appreciate you, and thank you for blessing me with your gifts in this beautiful time we spend together. It's truly so meaningful.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up so fully and real, and being willing to go through all the things that you go through. You do things with other people to help them on their path, and you have clearly embodied that and embraced that in your own self, in your path, because I've seen such a transition of spiraling for you. And it's very, it's meaningful to be witness to that and, share. And share here on the radio with everybody.
Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful. Much love to everybody. Aloha.
Aloha. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for Women's Voices.